I fell madly and deeply in love with Vietnam. The sights, the sounds, the people. That love affair almost ended at the airport when I was pulled out of line. And everyone was speaking to me in a language that I didn't understand. And finally, a representative from the airport, from the airline came and spoke English and said, "Mrs. Brown, you overstayed your visa." I said, "Oh, no." She said, "You must go to immigration." And I asked her, I said, "Well, okay, that's no problem. Which terminal is immigration in?" She said, "Oh, no, you don't understand. We're taking your luggage off of the plane right now. You can't leave." Now that word "can't" triggered my inner voice. And not the sweet, kind inner voice that you guys might be used to from me. It triggered that really, really crazy inner voice. That crazy inner voice that makes you say and do things that you eventually regret. So I looked at her and I said, "What do you mean I can't leave?" She said, "You take your luggage and you have to go to immigration." I said, "You must be out of your mind. I'm not staying here. Are you crazy?" I said, "You see this passport? It's an American passport. You can't keep me here." Yeah, I said it. In my head. What I actually said was, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I can't believe this happened." Yes, I did. "I don't know how it happened." Yes, I did. "This has never happened before." It had. Okay. So she was so nice she said, "Oh, Mrs. Brown, don't worry." She said, you are not the first person to overstay your visa. You won't be the last." She wrote a note for the taxi driver so he could know directly where to take me. Now, walking into the immigration office, I walked in, and standing before me, the person who has to help me is Hannibal Lecter's sister. For those of you who don't know who Hannibal Lecter is, in American movies there's this serial killer, and he kills people and sometimes he eats them. His sister was standing there in immigration. And I thought, this lady, I got to deal with her. So I brought her my paper and I went in and I said, "I overstayed my visa." And she said, "You write down why you overstayed your visa." Okay. So I sat there and wrote the most apologetic note that I had ever written in my life, filled with flowery words like sorry and regret and never do it again. And I brought it up to her. She said, "We go sleep now." Huh? She said, "We go sleep now." And she did this. Now I'm dehydrated, I'm hungry, I'm confused, and I'm kind of mad at myself. And I'm not thinking straight. And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "We go sleep now." So I looked at her, I looked at the clock, and I have never been so happy to see a clock in all my days. A clock that said 5 o'clock. I said, "Oh, you mean you go to sleep now? You go to sleep, you're finished work for the day." She said, "Yes, you come back 7:30 in the morning." Now, I'm retired. I don't care what's going on. The zombie apocalypse could be happening. I'm not getting up at 7:30. So I arrived bright and early at 9:30 the next morning. I bring my paperwork, and in the best language I could use, I said, "Chao Bui Song, May that Freud." And she said, she smiled. Hannibal Lecter's sister smiled. And right there before me, all of her dark, jagged edges softened. And she became human to me, and I became human to her. She smiled. And then she looked me up and down as if she was making a decision about my fate. She made the decision. She said, "Miss Brown, you go police station." And I said, "Oh no, police station. I thought we just had a moment. Why are you this is in my head, why are you sending me to police station?" She said, "You go police station, out the door left, 2 blocks down, police station for you." Now, at the time, I did not realize that what she was doing was sending me to the police station because that's where the other immigration office that would process my paperwork faster. But I didn't know that. So this was a long 2 blocks. In those 2 blocks, in my mind, I was in a Vietnamese jail. Little tiny Vietnamese women were beating me up and taking my food, and I'm a big girl, don't take my food. So by the time my hand hit the door, I was just about to be shanked in the stomach with a shiv that made by one of the Vietnamese prisoners. So I walk in. This place is the place where disgruntled, evil, mean-spirited government employees go to die. And they're all in there looking at me. Standing right there in the very front is Hannibal Lecter's other sister. She's meaner than the other one. And I thought, this lady is going to eat my brains. So I walk in, I give her the paper, and I try to explain. She looked at the paper, she looked at me, she said, "You write it again." I said, "Excuse me?" "You write it again, paper wrinkled." Now by now, I'm angry, I'm not happy. So I said, "Wait a minute. You want me to take the crap I wrote yesterday, write that same crap again on another sheet of paper because you think it's wrinkled? You must be out of your mind. I'm not doing that." Yeah, I said it. In my head. What I said was, "Oh, I am so sorry. The morning was so beautiful, I was enjoying it." I said, "I actually rolled the paper up so that it wouldn't be wrinkled." I said, "That's not a problem, I'll write it again." And she looked surprised because you know what? That was not her expectation. That was not the way she expected. I've seen crazy people in immigration saying and doing things that's just going to linger and make their problems worse. So I said that. I said, "Sure, I'll write it again." And she just softened up a little bit. She brought me a pen. I said, "I don't have a pen. Do you have an ink pen?" Now let me tell you, I'm a retired teacher. We carry pens everywhere we go. I had 3 pens in my purse. That's what teachers do. You need a pen? I got a pen right now in my bra. I'm a retired teacher. We carry pens. We are not without pens, but I was not going to let her use my ink for her evil. So I got great pleasure watching her run around looking for an ink pen for me. She brought it back, I filled out the information, and I gave it back to her with a smile. She snatched it and she walked away. She came back with more paper. Now these papers were written in Vietnamese, some was written in English. I didn't care. I signed it all because I wanted to go. I was ready to get out of there. So I gave it back to her. And then I asked her and I smiled at her. Because I said, I don't know what her day was like this morning when she got up, so let me give her a smile. So I smiled at her and I said, I just filled out a lot of paperwork. Does any of it say I cannot come back to Vietnam because I really like Vietnam? And right there, all of her jagged edges smoothed out. And she smiled. And she actually had a beautiful smile. And she said, "Mrs. Brown, you like Vietnam?" I said, "No, I don't like Vietnam. I love Vietnam." And she smiled some more. She said, "Don't worry, Mrs. Brown." She said, "You can come back to Vietnam." I said, "Oh, thank you so much. I'll be so happy to return." On that 3rd day, I picked up my paperwork. She was there. And she gave me my paperwork. She said, Mrs. Brown, most people 5-7 days, for you 3 days. And I thanked her profusely. And when I got on the plane, I was very happy to be on that plane. But what I thought about was my interaction with her. And this is what I believe in my heart and my spirit and in my soul. That no matter what turmoil, what that crazy, because we all have that crazy inner voice, no matter what that crazy inner voice is telling you, you have to not listen to it. And it's always best to respond with kindness in any situation. Respond with kindness. It always pays off in the